Huh. That's not good.
Well, that immediately went into the negatives. What's not good, David?
Oh, well, it seems almost no stores are getting full orders for new things that they've requested. Nobody got as many of the new Horus Heresy Custodies that they actually wanted, and they aren't even doing a pre-order system for the 11th edition boxes. My local store wanted 20 of these boxes, but they're only being allowed 18, quote, maybe, unquote. Normally, when Games Workshop has a new product, they give order forms and send the stuff to the stores that buy their stuff to resell. But this time, they didn't do order forms. They simply asked, how many do you think you can sell? And then told them the most they can hand out is X or Y.
That seems like a horrible business decision. Like, why not sell to those who will buy?
It is a bad idea. And you know what makes this even worse? I can actually explain why they're doing this and what they think they're doing. And that'll be our subject for today.
You're just jumping into it?
Yes, this is a long subject, and people keep bitching about these skits being 3 minutes in order to get these videos up to more than 8 minutes. But let's get into this subject. All hobbies lately have been having a horrible thing happening relatively recently. And what is that thing? Collectors and scalpers. Yes, I'm putting collectors into the same category because unfortunately they enable the situation. Despite the fact they don't cause the problem, they accidentally encourage the scalpers to make the issue. But the scalpers are the cause of the real issue ultimately. They will buy things out and try and resell them at an increased price. Oftentimes they are legally businesses, just not partnered with the creators in question, like in this discussion, Games Workshop. So they might get the vendor's discount instead of the full price, and then still try and sell the things at an extremely increased price. I can't guarantee that though, but often businesses have a special purchasing link where they can buy in bulk at a discount to sell at MSRP for a profit. So what did Games Workshop think to do in order to stop this? Essentially, they're understocking their products. They did not make enough of their last 10E mission decks, and I didn't find one for sale until February out of pure luck. They didn't make enough of the Horus Heresy Custodes boxes or even the individual pieces either, and couldn't provide what was ordered by Warpfire and many other companies. And now the 11th edition box is not being fully released, while the core rulebook alone will be released at a later date. What does this have to do with the scalpers though? Well, I believe this is an attempt to prevent scalpers from getting everything, while also making sure only trusted vendors can get products. And what will this cause? A scalping issue. In an attempt to prevent scalping, while also making sure they don't make too much and not sell enough, they'll cause a scalping issue, and not have enough product to make everyone happy. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of solutions for this. What's the point of making things made to order for a launch box, and they can't get product back from vendors that they don't own, so they can't tear down the boxes and rebox it to individual pieces? If they essentially only sell to licensed vendors, then scalpers will do what they do to card games. If they don't, scalpers will buy out product and either sell the boxes in pieces or sell the boxes as whole. How we can look at card scalpers and how hard it is to stop them. Pokemon being their premier example. Buy limits don't work, mostly because minimum wage workers don't know or don't care about it. The machines that vend them can be cracked fairly easily, and sometimes even owned by the creating companies don't care enough to enforce the limits. But there is a company that actually has managed to disrupt scalping, and it's a card game I've talked about a few times. Konami and Yu-Gi-Oh! How do they manage to disrupt the market? By constantly reprinting old cards, making some originally expensive cards absolutely worthless in price. I've been building a toon deck, and every single toon has been reprinted at least once, with Toon Harpy Lady and Toon Blackluster Soldier being the newest ones. I have not paid more than $1.50 for any card at all. I started building an Exodia deck recently, and I've noticed that some of these cards are pretty expensive in comparison to the toons, being $5 for the Millennium Monster retrains, the Shield, Sengenjin, and the Golem. But this sort of decision does not make investors happy, and Western publicly traded companies listens to investors more than customers, which leads to investors being unhappy because customers aren't buying the product to make them money. Hell, because Western companies are so stock-oriented, a lot of companies will go well out of their way to screw over their customer base, then get confused why their investors are unhappy that people aren't buying their products. An example of this situation is the company known as Ubisoft, which has bottomed out their stocks because people aren't buying their open world live service slop, which makes investors not want to give the company money when they can't be promised a healthy return. This sort of circular business decision can eat itself, and Games Workshop is using this logic. Make a minimum number of product, sell them all out because there's not enough for everyone who wants them, then tell investors they sold out of said product, so it must be good, despite the fact they didn't actually make as much money, leading to investors either loving the sold out status or hating the lower amount of profits. There is no in between, it will be one or the other. But why aren't they selling the core rulebook day one like they usually do? Well, a couple of reasons. One, this new box might not be coming with a hardcover copy of the CRB like the 10th edition box did, so they might be waiting for those to come out. That's the most likely answer, is a stock issue. But there's another extremely likely reason, and it's a testing the waters sort of situation. So Games Workshop might be selling the boxes to see how popular the updated edition is, since 10th edition was widely railed for some questionable decisions, like the loadout options not costing points. So the company is probably waiting to figure out how many books they can get away with printing and selling without having a warehouse filled with extra stuff. You know, fun thing to know, my local game stores actually still have 10th edition core rulebooks, so I can see this test idea being a huge reason for everything going on. Games Workshop is definitely in a bit of hot water, trying to figure out how to make as much money without spending as much. They've been increasing prices, which is gauging people out of the hobby. They're giving out the licenses left, right, and center to try and get royalties without much work. Honestly, looking at their stocks, it doesn't really say anything, because every investor demands constant growth, which, as I've said on a multitude of occasions, is not possible. Unfortunately, there's absolutely no good answer to this situation. As a publicly traded company, there is no winning solution to the minimal product and questionable popularity. So, with this major negativity on the mind now, shove off.